DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective, your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
Draft heads, what is going on? We're back. Key Pass Collective, welcome in. My name is Joe Williams. I'll be your host for this particular episode. What is going on to everybody in chat? Hello to Haroon. Hello to Opgar Ale Turcorp. Sorry about that. Hello to Tom. What's going on? Lloydie, Omar, what's going on? If you are not joining us live and next time you would like to, normally we try to record Wednesdays, although this week didn't quite work out that way, but normally we try to record Wednesdays around 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Vincenzo, what's going on? Dreaded Magpie, hey, hop in. It's a great time and a great place to come in and toss around some ideas and banter with us in chat. And today will be an especially banterful episode, I'm sure, because we are talking rankings. We have just unveiled our first version, our maiden voyage into the rankings for this season. And let me tell you, it was a bumpy one. So we're going to be talking through all of those. And for those who don't know, this podcast is brought to you by the DraftSociety.com. So we are basically the audio companion to the Draft Society. And you can find all of our rankings on there, DraftSociety.com. Check it out. We have our, we have our draft kit that has just been released about a week and a half ago. And in that draft kit will be the rankings that we are mentioning and going to be discussing in depth here today. Also in that draft kit is so many other things. So points projections for all players, a live draft aid to help you through your drafts that can link to your Fantrax account, team previews for every single team in the Premier League, predicted starting 11s within those team previews. They're not always correct, but we do a lot of research. So we tend to do a pretty good job with those. A lot of draft strategy articles. Where should you draft defenders this year? Where should you draft forwards? In fact, I just did an analysis of a recent mock draft that we did and talked about the positional landscape and what forwards look like this year, what midfielders look like this year. At what point in the draft should you have, let's say, 3 midfielders versus at what point in the draft do you want to have 2 forwards? It was a really interesting article to write. I would definitely prefer, or I would love it if any of you would check it out and give me some feedback on it. I thought it was pretty helpful. So check that out. And there's so much more too. There's so much more that you can get into in the draft kit. We're really proud of it. Hundreds of hours of work go into it. And if you are willing to join up and get the ultimate pass, you will also get the fantasy toolkit for the year. And the fantasy toolkit, of course, also connects to your Fantrax account and will give you basically pickups, waiver wire ads, trade valuations, power rankings for your team, fixture difficulty tracker, all built into one tool that is bespoke to your Fantrax ID and connects to your league. And that will you'll get access to that all season if you get the ultimate pass. So we would really appreciate it. And of course, we are an independent fantasy football website. So anything any support that you give us goes right to kind of keeping the lights on and giving us a little bit of compensation for us. Like I said, the hundreds of hours of work that we put into this, and we do it because it's a passion of ours, and we know the community loves it. So anyway, check it out, DraftSociety.com. Let's get into this. Today, we're talking consensus ranks. Version 1 are out. We are going to discuss, we're going to debate, we're going to talk differences in our rankings, and there are plenty. So we'll get into that here in just a quick second. First, let's welcome in this clown car of gentlemen that we have with us today. Just kidding. I love you guys. We've got Toddy, we've got Ryan, and we got Sanjy back from a little summer vacation. And actually, speaking of vacation, you're currently in, is it sunny Trini?
Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago.
Nice.
Enjoying myself. Well, trying to enjoy myself. I've been doing nothing but life admin. Spent more times in banks and ID card offices than I have in my actual home. But I've finally gotten away for a couple of days. Currently crashing at my co-host of the Banter Boys podcast, Ryan's house, finishing his
Nice.
beers while he's at work.
I love that. I love that. Toddy, how are you doing? I understand you're lakeside.
Yes, I'm at the lake house fighting some insects, which I've already told you that Ryan will be very much in the same boat, hopefully very soon, as his everyday profession from now on.
Are you in Balaton?
Yeah, yep. Lake Balaton,
Nice.
lake house.
Nice. I never got to go, but I was invited once. One of the regrets of my life.
We have already discussed Sanjy's first overseas trip to the Champions League final in Budapest. We can
That's
pop
true.
over to the lake house.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
You guys are welcome to.
Thank you for the side invite, by the way. Just after.
We can't hear Joe.
Oh, Joe, you're muted.
I'm muted. Fair enough. Oh, I was having such a good time too.
I mean, we've not officially started the season, so I think you're allowed hiccups, right?
Fair, it's fair. Ryan, how are you, man?
I'm good. I haven't left my house in a few weeks, but I'm doing well.
Yeah. A newborn.
How was the date night?
Didn't happen because there was a torrential thunderstorm / tornado warning like 10 minutes before we were about to leave to go to the restaurant. So
that's unbelievable.
Got postponed. Yeah.
Oh man.
Just your luck.
Yeah. So we sent the babysitter home and just hung out.
Oh no.
All good.
So you sent the babysitter out in the torrential rain and storm warning.
Well, I mean, we waited until it was over, of course, and then the damage had been done. So, I mean, we paid her for the whole night, so
sure,
she should be pretty grateful.
It sucks. Your one opportunity to get a little break.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'm sure it'll happen one day.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, boys, let's get into this because I'm pretty excited to talk rankings, honestly. Mainly because this year was a doozy, guys. This might have been the hardest it's ever been for me to make rankings. I don't know if I'm alone in that, or I think it's all the transfers and so many unknowns and so many question marks, way more than we usually have, I feel like.
Bigger squads,
honestly,
I feel like too. Not just the usual suspects in terms of rotation. So it's just there's a lot of things to sift through.
Yeah.
Not sure how you guys felt, but when I was sitting down and starting to put them together, I fly through the top 20, 25.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, I think I hit my first sort of problem area at 11 or 12 or something like that. So it's I don't really want anyone after obviously there's still a lot of good players, but not top level players,
right?
So it's difficult. I think the mid tier between 15 and 50 is a bit too big right now, but I'm sure it will clear up once the friendlies are starting and people are getting ACL injuries and stuff like that.
Hold on. Easy there, easy. No, but I do hope that clears up a little bit. Go ahead, Sanjy.
I'd probably go higher than that. I think after first 5 picks, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, I get it.
Cunha's gone, Mbuemo is probably going. Eze may or may not have European football, might be going as well. It's where am I putting these guys?
All right. Well, let's talk about that first round, my friend. So you mentioned this, and if people log onto the site, they'll see that this is the first round as we have it laid out. Clearly, this is not gospel. There may be players or managers in your league that jump and reach for some players that we've got in the second or even the third round. But for the most part, we see these as being the guys that we're most interested in taking in the first round, mostly because they're all but sure things. But like you say, it does get a little bit sketchy around number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So anyway, we'll talk through this quick. So we have Saka, number 1 overall, and that's no big surprise. All of us have him between number 1 and number 3. I don't think that's a huge talking point there. Mohamed Salah, I would be interested to hear potentially Ryan, Toddy. You guys have him at 4, and Dutch Cowboy has him at 5.
A couple things. One, the drop off at the end of this season. I mean, I know that it was relative to them kind of winning the league in a canter, but it started before that, and it can't be ignored. And then you add AFCON, and then you add another grueling year on a aging player. I mean, I know he's really fit. He's proved us wrong several times, but at some point it's going to catch up a little bit. So all of those factors just dropped him down a little bit just because of the other elite players around there. I still think he's going to be good. Obviously, there's a lot to be said for taking an elite forward in the first round, as we'll probably talk about. But those were the kind of couple negative things that dropped him down a little bit in my rankings.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, it looks like there's still a lot of moving pieces, but it looks like they might start adding enough firepower around him so that it doesn't have to be just a one-man team, which obviously means less like double or triple coverage, maybe. But also it means that he might not need to start like 35 plus games.
Oh, you think he'll finally start getting some rest? That's interesting.
Well, I'm not gonna have him below 30, but yeah, that's like we have been saying the same thing about KDB every season.
Yeah,
and there was one season when it finally came good. I think that's probably 1 or 2 seasons away from Salah.
I think so too.
So I think he'll still be like top 3 asset, but
sure.
just not as clear cut.
I mean, he's chasing records too. Like he's fully invested, I think, in those all-time Premier League records, and so I have no issue with I have him. Let's see, I have him number 1, but honestly, that's because I am who I am, and these are my rankings are when would I draft players, and literally I've never been able to roster Salah ever on a fantasy team in my life, and so if I had number 1, I would take him, partly just because I want to have him on my team.
Yeah, that was the first time last season, and it was a good time.
So did Sanjy. Yeah, it was glorious.
Same for me.
Absolutely.
Same for me. One with my home league.
The thing is though, Totti, I know you're comparing him to like KDB and stuff like that, but like Mo Salah is an absolute fitness monster. Like you could grate cheese off that man's abs, and like how old is he? 35 or something? Like it's insane how well he looks after himself. And like the only reason I think he would get a benching is, if there's a fixture sandwich between a massive Champions League semi-final or something like that, because I think that's one thing Liverpool like hurt them last season was exiting the Champions League to PSG, and that's what I think they're gonna put a bit more focus on pushing for.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's true. I'm not expecting Salah to be benched because of fitness issues. I'm expecting him to see some sort of rotation because of future planning.
Sure,
so yeah. I don't think that they will be able to keep decent value or decent ability backups if Salah is starting 36, 37 games at right wing every season. Like, we saw that with Chiesa, we saw that with Harvey Elliott, We saw that with anyone who we thought might be a potential right wing sort of backup option for Liverpool. And I think now that they've managed this whole three player contract situation at the end of last season as they did, now they need to do some proper future planning, and they've done that with getting in a 23-year-old left wing back, and getting in 22-year-old, the best young player in the world, and stuff like that. But they still need to sort of get someone in who can organically take Salah's spot, rather than when Salah goes, just trying to replace him with another 35 game starter.
Yeah,
that's my only thought, that they might try to do a bit more future planning.
right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right. So at 3 we've got Bruno. At 4 we've got Palmer. In the chat, we were asked, what's the argument for Bruno over Palmer? I don't know that there really is one. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, like, the reason that this sort of happened is because more of us had Palmer at 4, and Genie had him at 5. So that just was the extra little kind of thing that tipped him over the edge. So Palmer at 5, but of course Genie has Bruno at 2, so that would kind of make sense. Yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot to say about that, guys.
Yeah, I was definitely gonna be like, that has to be Genie tax on there. If anything looks a bit off, it's always Genie.
There will be quite a few of those, as we discussed today. But yeah. So Haaland comes in at number 5. And that is an interesting one, only because I wanted to, if Dutch was going to be here, I wanted to ask him why he had Haaland at 3, which I thought was really interesting. But everybody else has him 4, 5, or 6. So I don't know that there's a ton, unless we can pick his brain later about that. Maybe I don't know if there's a ton to talk about with Haaland. Anything else with him, guys?
Not with Haaland.
Is he absence of forwards, I think, is more than anything. I feel like Man City have also somewhat rebuilt their team a little bit. So you're maybe hoping for a sturdier supply of, assists and whatnot. And yeah, okay, he had a massive layoff with injury last season, but I think I'm assuming, like, he has a bit of a bounce back. He looks after himself a bit more. He's managed a bit better, that sort of thing. Yeah. Again, it's just the availability of, like, dependable forwards. Is, I think, the reason why I could see him being like a top 3 pick for somebody like Dutch.
Okay, then why do you have Alexander Isak number 10?
It's a lack of ghosts. I mean, I listened to the last pod that you guys did, and I felt validated, like, not owning Isak in many leagues, or any leagues, I think, last season. Like, yes, he's a top performing asset or whatnot, but again, lack of ghosts. And we saw the drop off for Newcastle when they had Europe. Like, they only signed their first player for the season so far, in Elanga. So I would need to see a lot more, because I think Isak will need a bit of rotation. I don't think he can just play week in, week out, Prem, Champions League, back and forth. They're going to need to manage him.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Everyone else is pretty in line with Isak as far as that goes. Tom has him a little bit later at 8, but the rest of us are kind of in line there. Let's pause for a second on Verts. Let's see. Genie, not quite the believer that the rest of us are. He's got him at 10. But even interestingly, Robbie and Draft Lad have him at 9, and all of us here have him 5, 6, or 7. So that one's kind of interesting. I think we're all kind of buying into his largely his ghost point potential, and the fact that he's going to have to be a hallmark of the team when you spend $300 million on somebody, however much it was. Sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a class player. He did fantastic for Germany in the Euros as well. I think that's where a lot of people, or the average football fan, would have taken notice of him. I'm very excited and very jealous of that signing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
At least your team got all the rest of the players.
Well, I mean, come on. We had to sign somebody. It's not like we're signing any bloody goalkeepers at the moment.
Right, exactly. Yep. All right, this was the first real shock to me, guys. This is a player I have at 10, and I thought in every mock draft I've been in so far, it was the top 7 as we have it, and then it was definitely Cunha. Usually it was Cunha and Mbomo, but I was astounded to see Eze at number 8 in our ranks. Genie has him at 7. Toddy, you have him at 7. Sanjy, you have him at 7. And Dutch has him at 8.
I think Eze is a good candidate to be in the first round, regardless of where he goes. He's out of the young star role. He's a win now player. He will start at any other team. The injury history that makes me a bit skeptical, but Glasner has been able to manage him much better than Hodgson did. So I'm quietly optimistic, and yeah.
All right.
This is kind of no man's land in the draft. I'd rather have the forward at this point. So despite them being on United, probably Cunha and Mbomo. Eze was good last season, but he dropped off a bit from the prior season when he was doing 1-2s with Olise, RIP. But 12 PPS and 16 goals and assists, 31 starts. Not bad. It's just like it's hard to anchor a team with a first rounder like that. But I think it's, I guess, a testament to the kind of lack of elite players at this point in the draft. So I'd like him a little bit further, but I get it.
Well, someone named Evan in the chat is being a little bit presumptuous, saying that he sees a drop off for Eze at Arsenal. And just, I guess, non sequitur here, we do his lowest rank in our rankings is Robbie and Draft Lad at 13.
I see where this dude called Evan comes from.
Yeah.
But also I think this is a situation when you kind of sacrifice quantity for quality. So I think maybe you'll get less starts, but also his starts will be much better quality. Like if he started at left wing for Arsenal 28 games a season, I think he's clearly a top 10 pick.
But he's still only getting 31 at Palace, and he's the absolute man. 28 is a bit presumptuous unless he's entirely fit and he just starts every rotation opportunity. He'd also lose some sets and first season in the system. He'd go down a little bit in my rankings if he left Palace, to be honest. Not that much, but
if he went to Arsenal, is it fair to compare him to like Doku at City, where rare number starts, but when starting, he's going to be an absolute points machine?
I think he'd be better than Doku. I think he'd get more starts than Doku if they're playing him on the left wing.
Yeah,
I think him and Martinelli would. I think Eze would probably get 60-40, maybe.
Yeah,
70-30.
I definitely see it as a downgrade for me. I agree with this, Evan.
Yeah, like I the thing is, I ranked Eze at 7 because I was assuming he's staying at Palace. I mean, I'm hoping that he stays at Palace as well. And it's all like talisman theory. And again, we talk about the likes of Cunha and Mbeumo, Eze, all around that same point. For me, also, it's also, I think there's a bit of bias in I like drafting players based on enjoying watching them play football as well. And I freaking love watching Eze play.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Well, yeah. I mean, many of us used to love watching Mateus Cunha play football as well. So that's an interesting segue there. Ryan won't be able to draft him this year, which is unfortunate. But we've got him at 9, and there's not a lot of differentiation in terms of ranks there. I did want to pause on Mbomo for a second because most of us have him 7, 8, 9, or 10, except for Toddy, who's got him at 18.
Oof.
I just don't see how he can replicate what he did last season. And I think the place where we drafted him last season, end of the second round ish, was probably his sort of general value. And this is one thing. If he stays at Brentford, I'm gonna bump him up a bit more, but that's highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But so for me, and this isn't very scientific as much as it should be. It just doesn't add up. If you have Cunha in the top 10, and if you have Mbomo in the top 10, and if you have Bruno in the top 10, and assuming we all have Ahmad in the top 20 as well, just so the data for these 4 players to actually come out in the top 20 would probably have to mean that United score like twice as many goals as they did last season.
Yeah.
And I just don't see it. Like all of those guys at their original spots, I would have been a bit more skeptical about them being able to replicate last season's numbers, but they were talismans where they were. And I just don't see how they don't encroach on each other's numbers. And I just think that Cunha is, out of the two, I'm more inclined to believe that Cunha can bully everyone off the ball and replicate or get close to replicating last season's numbers more than Mbomo, who we haven't really seen do it except for last season.
You know, part of the reason why I love to have these episodes is because, like, literally I try to come into it with an open mind. Like I've made my rankings, but I come into these like wanting to be swayed. And you might have actually just done that for me. Like literally it's giving shades of, like, remember all the Liverpool forwards 2 years ago when everybody we had them ranked pretty high, and it just, when you sat back and thought about it, and I think Draft Lad, whatever his pseudonym is these days, it was kind of one of the people yelling from the rooftops, like, this is not possible. All of these guys cannot be top 20 assets. And you're making a really valid point there. I think I might move him down a little bit.
Plus, if you're going to this whole thing with a war centric approach, you could still kind of make the argument for all of these players, saying that yes, they will start less. Yes, they will have to share the points, but when they start and when they play, they will be value. But again, the system was tailored to Cunha and Mbomo at their old spots, regardless of whether they were playing with better or worse players. The attacks were drawn up for them, and that is not going to be the case for every one of them at United.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Fab just dropped Madueke. Here we go to Arsenal.
Yay!
I mean, I think several of us already baked in the assumption that was happening to our rankings. He will absolutely come up later, so we can pause on that little bit.
My condolences, Ryan, but thank you for the money.
looks like the Chelsea financial project is doing okay.
Clearly.
Like this is clearly what they want, right? They're buying every under 23 player that it has a sort of plus 160 potential in that is a football manager term. But yeah, anyone who has been mentioned in any of the tabloids, young players to look out for sections, and then trying to flog them for a bit of a profit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're basically treating the EPL like it's a dynasty league at this point.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but for the dynasty league, you would have to keep these players.
Well, right,
yeah.
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 Treating the world like it's a dynasty league.
I mean, like, but the thing is, as much as we're knocking, like, this transfer and stuff like that, like, Arsenal are quietly going about their business, and I mean, you come start the season, they will still be title challengers. People will still tip them to win the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Joe said it best. I think you put it on Twitter as well, but you said it in our group chat. Like these are the kind of signings that Arsenal should be doing. If they for me, this means they will probably try to shift Trossard, but they trust Martinelli. They don't want to bring in other than. Maybe they have the money to bring in a 90 million Rodrigo as well as these guys, but then they trust Martinelli and they have strengthened the depth, and that is really what they should be doing.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. All right. Well, then we've got Bowen and Semenyo. Most of us agree on both of those to a certain extent, more or less. Genie
Just an interesting aside here. Salah, Mbomo, and Semenyo, 3 players we have in the top 12 that will miss potentially 5 game weeks due to AFCON.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that is huge, and they will miss them during the Christmas season as well, which is traditionally a very hectic period.
Yeah. Something like 6 game weeks if they go the whole distance.
Yeah. 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move along to some other forwards, gentlemen. So, moving along to Marmoush, which is an interesting one. This one I found just fascinating. Genie's at 13. He's not here to defend himself. We don't really know why. But Ryan also pretty high on the guy. 16. Robbie has him at 15. Tom, Sanjy, Dutch all at 2021 area. I've got him at 25. Toddy, you have him at 26, and Draftlad has him at 38. So there's absolutely some disagreement on Marmoush. I think it's probably how much he plays. And also, as the quiz highlighted, the fact that he doesn't actually score ghost points.
Yeah, it's also like frigging roulette. We can never ever ignore that pep roulette. And like I felt like towards the end of last season as well, he got randomly deployed in these weird ass positions where he wasn't scoring at all. So I don't know. I feel like every season Pep does something crazy new, tweaks something, and it affects all these players' values. And it's again, I think with City, it's always like Haaland or bust. Like I can't even put Vardiol in that list now because he's been pushed to centre back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want anyone on City other than Haaland, and I don't want Haaland either.
You don't want Haaland. I would take Haaland for sure. I would definitely take Haaland. There's some other ones that I am pretty high on, but they're not really attackers. All of those guys, I think I'm going to try to stay away from.
I mean, it's natural for Joe to also pick a player that will probably bring him pain at one point during the season. So.
Of course, absolutely. This is my penance. Yeah, this is my cross to bear.
and Haaland fits that mold. I think is
He
the
would.
epitome of that list. So
I've never had a draft pick high enough to get him, so I don't really know why I would think that would change.
Maybe this season.
Yeah,
I think you just need to put the energy out there in the universe, and who knows, you might actually get first pick in a draft. Like it's gonna blow your mind.
It's true.
Still won't get Haaland at the first pick though.
No, right? No, not at all.
You're easily going Mo if you get first pick. Like
100%, 100%.
Yeah,
not even close. Yeah. Okay. Well, then we move on to Yohan Wissa, which I think most of us were operating under the impression that he would be without Brian Mbeumo, which does make a huge difference, obviously. So, we have, I was second highest on him at 23. DraftLad has him at 21. And I'd be curious to know if, people are waiting for here he goes, or if we are operating on that assumption that he's moving, or that his compatriot is moving. But I'm just curious because 23, 21, Dutch has him at 24. And then we get into, Sanjy, you've got him at 37. Ryan's got him at 35. Toddy, you've got him at 54. And Genie has him at 66.
God, I freaking love Genie sometimes.
You and Genie are very close in this, which I would be concerned about if I were you.
Yes. But I love him. I mean, not Vista. I love Genie.
I love Genie.
You just have to. It's like a roulette. You just have to bet on like 5 of his hot takes and hope that you bet on the 5 right ones and not the 15 wrong ones.
Right. Exactly.
And then you'll win your league. Yeah. I mean, I think. Again, Wissa was a blip last season. I just don't see him. I'm probably even lower on him if he goes to Spurs, to be honest, which now looks quite likely.
Really?
Yeah.
Even after Gibbs, White, and Kudus?
Yeah, it looks like it.
God. Somebody needs to take their checkbook away from them. It's like Chelsea.
I mean,
whoa. You were doing so well until you compared us to Spurs, man.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Like they didn't the players that Postecoglou wanted, so he did badly, but won them their first trophy. And then they sacked him, and now they're getting all the players that he probably wanted for a different manager.
Yeah,
it's so strange. But at least the Spurs fans won't be able to say that it was Daniel Levy who made them suffer because he spent like triple, quadruple the Kane money in the last 2 seasons.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's just he's one of those XG guys where he has a nose for goal and he's gonna outperform his XG. He's kind of like a Vardy in that, where Vardy always classically outperformed his XG, and I think Wissa's kind of the same way. I know that his service is obviously going to be hurt quite a bit because of no Mbeumo, but I don't know. And he kind of becomes
no Frank as well.
Yeah, he kind of becomes their main source of goals then. And so I think that being the case, he'll hopefully be able to deliver on some of it. Not his value from last year, but some of his value.
I think you're confusing him with Igor Thiago. He will be the main. He will be the main source of goals there.
Where do you have Igor Thiago ranked?
I don't know, idea, honestly.
Oh shit! I think I forgot to rank Igor Thiago. I completely forgot about him.
You have, so he is our consensus 132. You have him, Toddy, at 142. I actually have him at 146. Genie loves him at 96.
Oh my god.
Robbie has him at 113. Draft Lad 137. Dutch 128. And Tom, Sanjy, and Ryan did not rank him.
Yeah, it was
I
like
mean,
one of
he
those.
will shoot up in the ranks.
I mean, we've not seen anything, right, yet to warrant it. But the thing is, like, the reason I ranked Wissa high is just like I believe in the Brentford model, like their ability to make smart footballing decisions.
Yeah,
And I just feel like they like moneyball their way into like having good positions in the table and stuff like that, right? So I just feel like, yes, obviously it's going to be big shoes to fill with Mbeumo leaving, etc., and like even Thomas Frank leaving, but I just feel like they're either gonna maintain what they have or get relegated at this point, because no way are they gonna be able to keep up with these high scoring games, conceding tons, scoring tons, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's probably true. No, I buy. I mean, I buy the arguments that there's a regression coming. I think probably that's one I need to bump down a little bit too, to be honest, but not a ton. I mean, I don't know if I see him, where the uber skeptics see him, but I think you guys are onto something. Probably bump him down, maybe slightly, but I think it's also because of those mock drafts we've been in, a little bit of that forward tax that we're seeing kind of pop up as well. Because at that point in the draft, I don't know if you guys can like picture in your mind, you start seeing a real dearth in forward. You start seeing, okay, am I going to take Wissa here, or am I going to take Solanke? Am I going to take Havertz? Am I going to take Kevin Schade? We'll talk about João Pedro in a minute, but yeah, that's an interesting one. Cool. Okay.
I've missed these random moments of silence that you have to deal with, Joe.
The times when I think somebody's gonna have like something, interesting to say, but then it's just nope. I think you've said it all. Okay, cool. Moving right along.
Love it.
All right, sweet. Well, we've got. Let's see. Hold on, Ryan. Are you back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
There he is. Yes. Yes.
Thank the Lord.
Hell yes.
Sorry.
All right. I love it. No, you're fine. You're fine. All right. So before we move on, anything to add on Marmoush or Wissa?
I think I don't really like Marmoush that much. I think I was probably too high on him. Yeah, 0 goes, rotation. The forwards evaporate around there, so he gets a little bit of a bump because of that.
Right.
But I just think personally he's probably going to go around there. I don't want him per se. And yeah, I kind of agree with most of the Wissa talk. Although if he went to Spurs, that'd be really tricky to gauge, because he'd be presumably rotating with Solanke, but he'd have better tools around him, back with the coach that kind of got the best out of him. So yeah, it'd be a tricky one. But yeah, I think you said it best, Joe. It's just a function of him having a good season, and like right around where you think the forwards drop off, he's just like sitting there, and
I know,
kind of a little bit above the rest, but just because the lack of forward resources around that time in the draft.
100%. And most teams, still need a starting forward, and still need at least like a forward 1/forward 2 at that point. And so, especially okay, because you're talking about the end of the second, beginning of the third for the most part, right? And so pretend you're one of those managers who took Saka maybe number one overall, right?
Yeah.
And so then you're looking at players like Wissa, or again, we'll talk about Pedro in a second, Schade. Are you buying into, who are you going to buy into at that point in the draft? Is it a Pedro Neto? Is it all these guys have question marks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally going through that that anxiety because I have the first pick and I will take Saka, and I'm going to be in that position, and I'm just kind of pulling my hair out, trying to figure out if I just go best available, and just push or kick the forward can down the road, which is really rough. But I mean, is it better than just like reaching for someone like Wissa?
Right. Just to make sure you have an every week starter. I mean, as long as he's on Brentford. Yeah, it's a tough one. All right, well, let's talk Joao Pedro, who, had a couple of golazos in his first outing as a Chelsea player. So that was an interesting one. We had all sort of poo-pooed and thought, well, it's going to be rotation for him until that. And then I think, not that one game necessarily, in the Club World Cup necessarily changes your complete and total outlook as a player for a certain team, but did it? I guess is the real question. I have him at 42. So I'm kind of in the middle of a lot of you other gents here. Ryan, you like him at 30. Genie hates him, 67. Toddy, you're skeptical as well, 55. Tom, 65. Sanjy, you got him at 29.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people need to remember that I'm a Chelsea fan. Like a lot of my Chelsea assets always get a bump up. My first pick as well is Palmer. I think I'm the only person that went one on Palmer. JP, okay, the signing of Delap, I was like, okay, Nico might go to the bench. And then now the signing of JP has probably pushed Delap to a bench spot and has killed Nico. And the reason I put JP high is because of his flexibility in terms of the multiple roles he can play on the pitch.
Yeah.
He's obviously given himself a lot of credit, like you mentioned, scoring those 2 golazos in the Club World Cup semi-final. Yes, okay, put a pinch of salt as a South American team and all that, but he has the experience of playing in the Prem as well. I don't know. I feel like he could be an integral part of the Chelsea setup moving forward. But at the same time, even though I've ranked him highly, I'm probably going to avoid him in the draft for the same reasons we're going to avoid the Man City players, is that it's hard to predict any of this sort of rotation roulette, right? And, I mean, he's a forward in a team that I'm expecting to score a lot of goals as well. So,
yeah. I like that. Anyone else?
I didn't know I had him at 30, to be honest.
I was fully expecting Ryan to like roast me right now.
No, I'm kind of, if I had to, I think, sit down and look at it, I'd probably be kind of in the middle on him. His best attribute is versatility, but that's also kind of his downfall, because he can't really nail down a spot, but he can play everywhere. And
he's not a true 9.
There's so many players, and it's just like, where does he fit in? He'd be very valuable if you paired him with someone like Neto. I think those would probably be two of the, outside of Palmer, the two best attacking assets for them at certain times of the season. But it's pretty expensive to try and I don't even know if you could cuff him. Maybe it'd have to be like 3-4, something like that, depending on where he goes. But yeah, taking him by himself is just is kind of risky. And as a forward one, I don't know. He's not going to be on pens, which is his kind of saving grace at Brighton. Because Palmer will be. So yeah, I think it's a bit of recency bias with legit 2 days ago scored 2 goals.
Right.
Yeah, I think next round I'll probably have him a bit further down.
I'd probably cuff him with Delap instead of Neto. I think Neto is safest starts on that wing.
I just like the two of them the most out of that attack. Not to say that they'd be kind of like for like.
Yeah, that's fair.
So who's the first choice right wing?
Neto at the moment.
It would be Neto. I mean, he can play on the left as well. But yeah, for me, I think he was lights out towards the maybe final third of last season. Yeah, he was fantastic to him.
He's been playing there for most of the Club World Cup too, on the right.
Nice.
So, and he's started most of the matches. For anyone interested, I wrote an article on the Club World Cup, and people can check that out.
Great plug.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. I like to think so.
He's looking like back to his best in a sense. I don't know if it's like comparable to his Wolves days. But yeah, he's cooking, man. He's doing well.
I mean, if he continues to get the starts, I'd be very excited about him. That's my only concern, obviously, is the minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, for me, it's the number of goals to go around that's a bit of a concern at Chelsea as well. Like,
yeah,
I do not know what, other than your fandom, makes you think that Chelsea will start scoring a lot of goals. But truly, like, if I saw an analysis around December time on Palmer's goals when he started to regress a bit, and the whole thing was that Maresca started slowly to implement much more patient and possession-based
his system,
style.
essentially.
Yeah, rather than just run at the defense with a numbers advantage. Yeah, and the analysis was basically that all of Palmer's, or except for one, all of Palmer's outfield goals were scored in chaos situations when there was a mistimed shift in the defense. It was a proper counter. It was like 3 against 2, something like that. And I do not think, if they start playing more counter-attacking football, then I will be a bit more excited about Chelsea assets. But this patient build-up, playing it around, may be successful, but definitely not good to watch or good for fantasy, I think.
And they were 7th in the league in goals scored as a team. So it was 64. They were tied with Spurs behind Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Brentford, and Brighton.
All great points, lads, but have you seen Nico Jackson play football? Have you actually watched several matches of this man miss?
I try not to.
Easy chances,
unfortunately, yeah.
Game after game after game. And I think that is one of the reasons why we're a bit further down that list. I'm not saying we're going to finish the league as top scorers or maybe top 2 or whatever, but I think we will improve, is my point.
Yeah. That's fair. All right. We got to move, otherwise we're gonna be here all night, guys. So Kevin Shada,
I am already here all night.
I thought you were gonna sing all night long.
Well, we can if you'd like to. Kevin Shada, I think probably a lot of the same arguments with Frank leaving and Mbomo leaving, those types of things. Maybe we can skip him. Cody Gakpo, we should maybe pause on quickly. Just because there's obviously after the tragic passing of Diogo Jota, there's some question marks around who will play where, and the fact that they have not signed a striker at this point in time. And so he's the highest we have him is 26. The lowest we have him is 71. So I'm curious to hear if you guys like which side you fall on in terms of that. I can get the rankings here. Let's see. All right. Highest would be, yes, of course, Sanjy, 26, Draft Lad, 29. Lowest is going to be Ryan, 62, Tom, 61, and Dutch Cowboy in the chat, along with Tom, at 71. Dutch Cowboy has him lowest.
So I assume Diaz is leaving. I don't know. It just like all these rumors are getting heavier and heavier.
It feels that way.
Yeah. And if Gakpo has that left wing, he was he was definitely a man to roster. He was fantastic in the Euros. He continued that form in Liverpool season as well. Yeah, again, it's I ranked him with the assumption that he's going to be the main man on that left wing.
I did the opposite. I think he'll get some starts there, but like even if Diaz leaves, I mean, I think you'll see probably Wirtz start there.
That's what I thought.
A lot of times as well. So obviously, if Diaz leaves, I'll bump him up a bit. But
Wirtz. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wirtz. So yeah, it's always a case of rotation with him.
Yeah, I kind of agree, and I think they do sign a striker. I think it's just a matter of time. They got to get Darwin out the door first, and then they'll sign a striker at some point. There's also it's a little bit touch and go at the moment with signing a striker because you don't want that person to feel like they're Diogo Jota replacement type of thing. So I think it's going to take a little time now, but I think as things settle, you're going to see, Wirtz probably can play there certainly. And I think Gakpo still is sort of a super sub type of situation.
Yeah, fair.
All right, guys, let's talk Viktor Gyokeres. We did not include him in our rankings, though we did rank him, which is interesting. We wanted to wait for the here we go, so we didn't want to kind of have egg on our face if something just went horribly awry. But what I can tell you is that he would have been our consensus 16th ranked player, with Dutch in the chat ranking him highest, Tom ranking him second highest. Dutch has 12, Tom 13, and then a bunch of 14s, me, Ryan, Robbie, Draft Lad, Toddy, and then Sanjy. You guys have them both at 27.
Yeah, I mean, it's just new player in league. I think it just needs time to kind of adjust. Yeah, I think after lessons learned from last season about like getting overhyped, overexcited about players like Nkunku, yeah, it's just one of those where I think you need to be a bit patient with him. I'm not saying he's not going to be a success if and when he signs for Arsenal. But yeah, I'm just hesitant just because, again, new player.
Yeah, I've waxed lyrically. I really hope he joins, just so for the sole fact that I put in a lot of work in terms of writing up stuff on him. So if I have to switch it to Šeško, I mean, I guess it would be a silver lining. Yeah, I mean, he's really tough to gauge. The argument in favor, obviously, is proven goal scorer. Despite being in the Portuguese league, he proved it in the Champions League, dropped a hat trick against Man City, so can do it in the highest level. Joining a well-oiled machine that needs a finisher. Created chances for a CDM up top. If him and Havertz can come close to being on trajectory for 20 goal seasons, then an actual goal scorer could just explode in this system. Downside is that, it's a new league, new system. He thrives on transition and space. Arsenal don't really play like that. I'm hoping that he can make us a little bit more dangerous on the counter of the transition. He's going to have to contend with Kai Havertz, who Arteta loves, so there's no guarantee that he's going to be nailed on. So it's a mixed bag. It's just your kind of risk appetite if you want to go for the upside, or if you want to be a little bit safer. I'm kind of in between, but on the higher side in terms of the upside. So I think you could probably cuff him, which would be nice with Kai, if Kai slips as far as it looks like he's going to. So that would be pretty tasty, especially given the dearth of forwards. So I'd feel a lot better about having him there in a cuff with Kai.
Yeah.
How early would you go for Kai assuming you are at the end of the first round pick, so you went with Gyokeres at your
2-1.
That's your second round pick, so like 15th or something like that. How early would you reach to get the cuff done? Like 4th round?
Yeah, let me. So
I took him in our mock 2 days ago in the 5th round.
I would absolutely take him in the 5th. I mean,
No,
I don't think he slips there. I don't think he slips to the 5th. Honestly,
Oh,
I can't see him slipping to the 5th.
what, Kai? Why? The entire narrative is around how he's not going to be playing.
But who says that? Like,
I think Arteta loves Kai, you know.
yeah, if they, so the only reason Kai didn't get a top 20 score last season was this fucking hot summer camp or whatever they went to in Dubai where he fucked himself up. Other than that, he would have
season prior.
You make it sound sexy.
He would have absolutely come in as a top 20 player overall. I don't think there's an argument against that. He whenever he was fit, he was starting. Why? Like, this dude, I love the for me, this guy is like a proper football manager type signing. I don't know if you guys have played or if any of our listeners played, but one of those, like, you see a lower league, like a behemoth who like destroys a league, and then you sign him up and it looks like he might work out and he might be amazing, but I think Robbie put in our chat the stat that he got 70% of his goals against lower ranked Portuguese teams or whatever was the stat.
That's what we need him for.
But
Fulham and West Ham the last 2 seasons, we're back-to-back
exactly. But have you seen the difference in size and ability for like Boavista centre backs and Tarkowski and Harry Maguire and whatever? It's like Milankovic. Like it's a fucking chasm. It's a chasm.
As a Casapia season ticket holder, you know that I have first.
I know.
Amazing.
Second, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a tax there. So, say he scores half of the goals. I mean, he's at such a high clip that like you have to take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, he's not going to.
We've seen the exact blueprint in Darwin, and it is the fact
Darwin's
that he has
an idiot.
He has 1 second less on the ball. The defender is 5 centimeters closer to him. The goalkeeper is like 2 feet closer to him when he gets the ball and he turns to the goal. It's minuscule. It's a bunch of minuscule differences that add up to an otherwise very talented and very goal sensitive player not being able to get the prolificity that he had in a league where he had the time, where he had the space, where he had the physical superiority to defenders that he faced, and now he doesn't, and this is what happens. And I'm not saying that Gyokeres is gonna have a similar huge drop off as Darwin. It's just that is a blueprint that we've seen happen. I'm just saying that I don't have him at 150 like I have Darwin. I have him at 20 something. So like I still like him, and I still think that he probably gets a good run at the beginning of the season, but I still think that at the end of the day, Kai will if he comes in, Kai will have more starts as forwards.
Yeah, I mean it's a tricky one. Obviously, I tend to be a bit more positive, but yeah, I mean, there's again an argument to be had that he really struggles, but I think it'll be kind of a mixed bag. If he can start well and gain confidence, I think the difference between them is like he's pretty relentless and has a pretty strong mentality, and Darwin could be a bit of a space cadet, it looks like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He's a bully.
I mean, I like the fact that he did it well in Champions League. I think Darwin had decent numbers too in the Champions League. So I mean, that's not the be all end all either. But yeah, I don't know. And he won't have, I don't think, as much because of Kai, and I don't think he'll have as. Yeah, it's tough to say he won't have as much pressure because obviously he's the first Arsenal number 9 in years. But I think because of Kai, I think Arteta will probably do a better job of kind of taking the pressure off if he doesn't hit the ground running. So yeah, I tend to be a glass half full guy, but there's definitely some caveats for sure.
I think the thing that plays in favor of Robbie's start as well about Gyokeres is that I wouldn't consider Kai a flat track pulley by any means. I think he's very useful in those tight cagey games, against those Liverpool cities and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, we could be eating our words come halfway through the season as well about Gyokeres. But again, going back to comparing him to Darwin, and yes, he looks good in the Portuguese league and stuff like that. But again, it's just the adjustment of a player in a new country and all that.
Right. And I mean, let's not forget that like one decent half season does not, a player make. The reason they've been trying to replace Kai is because he's not always very good. And like
he's not a prolific scorer by any means. That's the thing. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for him as a fantasy asset. I think Gyokeres is going to be good, but I do
zero upside forwards around that time of the draft. Essentially,
yeah,
I'd rather swing for the fences there than like take a safe pick with like I don't know, one of those schmucks around there.
You'd rather him than Watkins?
Yeah, damn.
Oh. Watkins, surely.
Surely Watkins, surely.
Man, I don't know. He's getting up there, and Emery
got benched for large.
Yeah, Emery seems to have no problem benching that dude, even though they don't. If they don't sign anyone else in that area, then I'd go Watkins. If they do, then I'd go Gyokeres.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, he had an incredibly unconvincing end to the season, but. Yeah, I mean he's an interesting one too. I mean he's kind of all over the board, but not enough where we need to dedicate some time to him. We're not going to get through all these positions anyway in the next 3 hours, so let's move. All right, midfielders. We maybe don't need to talk too much about Enzo Fernandez, other than the person who. Let me just pull him up quickly. Other than the person who has him quite low, which is Draft Lad, and then also Toddy. You have him at 31. Draft Lad has him at, Toddy, you have him at 30. Draft Lad has him at 31. The rest of us have him around the same area, between like the mid-teens to the 20s, setting aside Genie, who has him at 51.
I love and hate Genie so much sometimes.
Yeah, Sanjy, you love him at 17.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get the concerns about people in our communities, like various chats, discords, the
everyone,
basically everyone. Yeah, and if you're listening to this one and you're not in any of those group chats, guys, come join. Honestly, it's a great place to be.
Right? Yeah.
But
if you don't like Enzo, come join the group chat.
Yeah, exactly. But I just feel like he will continue to be a pivotal part of our setup. although I think Reece was club captain, I don't trust Reece's hamstrings or cheese strings, whatever you want to call it. I think Enzo will be captain on the pitch, and he just seems like, from the eye test as well, he seems to be making these late runs into the box. And I keep telling people as well, like, even though we're a 4-2-3-1 on paper, we end up being a 3-2-4-1 on the pitch. And he's one of those 4 midfielders, one of the 2 central ones behind the striker. And he keeps getting the odd attacking return here and there. And he might be taking some corners here and there as well. I just think he's a great mid 2 to have. I wouldn't want him as my mid 1, but I feel like people are going to reach for him based on last season's performance.
I think it's too risky. He's much too risky for me. I still think that the best setup doesn't involve him, to be honest.
Wow.
I think it's Lavia, Caicedo, Palmer, a mid 3. Unfortunately,
Again, we're not playing with a back 4. You look at most of our games; it tends to be a 3 at the back. One of the fullbacks ends up being a centre back, a third centre back.
And then you won't need both of the defensive mids.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, again, we need to remind people as well, Lavia doesn't have the legs to last a full 38 game week season.
Yeah, I mean, we will see a fair chunk of Enzo being good, but I think Enzo was forced into the quote-unquote attacking midfield role because of the injuries to the wingers. That meant that just the forwards and the suspensions and whatever. So the fact that Palmer had to be pushed to one of the wing roles in late in the season meant that Enzo could essentially step up into the attacking midfield role, and that's where he shined.
Yeah, we'll see how things unfold. But yeah, I mean, what's worse is, like, I don't know how much of a preseason, if we even have one, because of the Club World Cup, right?
Yeah, and also we are still treating Chelsea like Chelsea, whereas we should be treating possibly like we know what Enzo can do, but isn't this essentially a similar situation to Foden, Reindeers, and Cherokee? Like, they could all become really good fantasy assets if they played in the position where they can achieve those fantasy points, and if they play enough minutes. There's just like a who thing. So it's like, usually we go based on numbers and feeling, but this to me feels like a numbers thing. Just,
but
I can't have him.
I don't think our rotation is as bad as Man City, and we don't have a Pep, even though he's a disciple.
Yeah, and I just think Enzo has shown himself to be pretty much indispensable to Maresca.
Yeah.
At this point, so I'm kind of going on that assumption, but that could obviously change.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this can change. We're still fairly early into preseason, and we're still in the summer, etc. And again, given our track record of signing infinite players or every single player under the sun, who knows, right?
Yeah, you can still sign 5 center mids.
Exactly.
Right.
Probably between the end of August and the 1st of September, so that they definitely don't have any preseason.
Yeah.
All right, I tell you what, we're gonna skip Gordon, and if Tom is still in the chat, he can just tell us why he hates him. So
because he's a Newcastle player. Yeah, exactly.
You can tell us why. Oh yeah, because he's a barcode. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Tom has him at 40. The rest of us have him generally between the mid-teens to the mid-20s. So we can probably go ahead and move on to Foden, which is definitely one we should talk about quickly. Highest at 19, that is going to be Genie and Toddy. Oh, and Robbie. Oh, and Sanjy, all at 19. And then the lowest is 44. That's Dutch. And then I also have him at 40. So I can certainly tell you my thoughts there. Tom has him at 31. Ryan, you're kind of in the middle at 21.
I think he's good value this season, and I hate to say it because he had such a terrible season last year, but I mean, the case for him is that he can't get any worse. He was PFA Player of the Year. I think that's nonsense. I think he hides a lot in games. I think he's a system player, but
yeah,
he's shown what he can do when he plays, and I think, and Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you watched the Mickey Mouse Cup more than I did this summer. If he played well in the Club World Cup, but I think he's shown that he can be a good fantasy player. And if I'm looking at him in the third round versus somebody else in that realm, I'm going for upside with Foden, even though I hate all Man City assets this season. But I think pure value wise, you have to take a punt on him. Because if he comes close to delivering first round value, you have a league changing steal there pretty late. But if it's like early second round, no, I'm good. I'd much rather have a safer choice there. So it depends on value for me.
I think it depends how much you want to buy into last season and also the extension of last season via the Club World Cup. Because you can ask me how well he played at the Club World Cup. I can't really tell you because he played 38% of available minutes at the Club World Cup.
But he scored 3 goals and got an assist, right?
I was going to say, yeah, those are the highlights I saw. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them was literally a tap in into an open net. That was the only Foden goal I saw. But yeah, I agree with Ryan's comments. So I think he just bounced back. Like he is a good asset at the end of the day
when he plays.
Yeah, and there is and no way you can get a player at the spot where he probably is going to go that can get you pretty regular 35 pointers.
That I agree with. Like, and I always go back to talking about Toddy, your article you wrote years ago, that is drafting for first or last. And he is one of those players where at this spot in the draft, he has the ability to return first round value.
Exactly.
It's funny that he was your D&D last year, Toddy, which finally you joined the team. But yeah, I'm with you this year. I think
I traded him in 2 leagues.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was no. He was D&D. He was D&D for me at like 6th spot where he was getting drafted. That was crazy.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
I'm very curious. I mean, and part of this is also these are my ranks, and you guys know that I should not draft City players. so there is that. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, that's a good discussion. Do you care about spending any time on Damsgaard? I'm the only thing I'm curious here about Toddy is your ranking, because you have him at 17.
Jesus.
And but
you know what?
But somehow you hate Wissa and Shada.
Exactly. So Damsgaard. Okay, so Damsgaard has underperformed his XG and his XA as well.
Okay.
So he essentially he had 9 assists and 2 goals. So nothing out of this world. Nothing that he cannot replicate with essentially anyone in front of him.
Sure. Okay.
So I'm expecting, and this is an expectation, that Keith Andrews will follow in Thomas Frank's footsteps and like have him in that similar role, which is essentially pure ghost role. pure ghosts. Like an attacking midfielder with 9 assists. Even if you have Nico Jackson in front of you, you'll get 9 assists.
Okay, no, sorry. Yeah, you lost me there. But Totti, like where you have him ranked, you're basically saying that he's your mid one, no?
Yeah, I'd be if I pick like 17 is probably I don't have to pick him at 17,
Right.
but like if I get a falling Isak or I don't know who else do we have, a Bowen. I'm actually fine with the Bowen Damsgaard first 2 rounds, because Damsgaard will just like a fucking metronome. He will just get me those 10, 15 points.
Yeah, that whatever situation you're describing is not going to happen, because Bowen goes at like
Thank God.
11, 12, 13. You would then have to take Damsgaard at like
17?
14, 15.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
12
Okay.
basically.
Maybe it's Isak and Damsgaard. Even better.
Oh God.
So one that
Would you-
doesn't ghost, and then the potential
Just
gamble.
lost
of
my
an-
appetite.
No, so I don't. Your argument to reach that far, I don't like it. But what I do like is your argument with the ghosts, and what that makes me more confident in is my ranking of 28. I would feel comfortable reaching a little bit on that. I would never.
That's fine. That's fine.
I couldn't
Like-
go to year 17.
That's fine. And probably he'll settle around 20, 22 for me as well. I was just looking at the midfielders
Got excited.
after him and got yeah. And I was like,
We're
human.
this dude does not need Brian Mbeumo to be successful.
I honestly don't blame you. And a lot of the midfielders that come, I mean, anywhere after him, but also like immediately after him, all have some pretty major question marks around them. So whether it's
Exactly.
Minte, whether it's Kudus in a new role, although he might jump up. But players like Doku, Kulusevski with the injury. I mean, you make a good point. You do.
There's no way the Kulusevski injury isn't much more serious than it is the way they are getting in players. That's
Interesting.
Are you
I
also
can think of, and that's post ranking now. So I haven't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Are you also assuming that Damsgaard gets set piece monopoly with Boomo out of the picture?
Ooh,
Exactly.
probably, yeah.
And their head coach is now the set piece person.
A set piece coach.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
All right.
They're going to get
Oh
relegated.
damn.
You're starting to talk me into this a little bit.
They're going to be bad. They're going to be really bad.
But don't you want like a talisman from a bad team even?
Yes, I do. I just don't want them that early.
Fair.
That's why you got Cunha from United.
Bingo.
I mean, we drafted Cunha last year, and that was the time to have him.
God, man.
Genius play.
What a time!
What a
to be
time it
alive.
was. Who's the Cunha? Actually, who's the Cunha for this year? Let's talk about Charlie Alcaraz.
Alcaraz. Yeah.
Oh,
God, they shouldn't be mentioning
No.
the same freaking sentence.
not at all. Not at all.
God.
Yeah, probably not. But just because
Is that you at 22?
No. Because
Because I know you're high on him, but Jesus.
No,
that has
he's
to
our,
be Genie.
he's our consensus. Hold on, you will be surprised. He's our consensus rank, and this person might be in chat to tell us what's going on with their ranking. This person's our consensus rank 75 player without Gyokeres in there. You will notice that some people like Dutch have him at 123. Genie has him at 114. Toddy 75. Ryan 74. I've got him at 67. Sanjy, you're at 92. Tom at 70. And here comes Draft Lad at
22.
Sorry, 24. 24.
Yeah.
That's a mistake on my part, but 24.
That makes a world of difference.
Still,
He's Captain Sensible. Like, I'd love to see the stats or metrics that he's clearly basing this on somehow.
Draft Lad, let us know, because that's pretty wild. I do like him. I like him as a sleeper kind of this season, but good Lord, at
Not
20,
second round.
24, he's certainly not going to be a sleeper.
Maybe Draft Lad forgot to put the 1 in front of that 24.
124.
Yeah,
Something.
that checks out, right?
I'm very curious. We'll have
Wow.
to grill him on that at a later date. But
Well, who had 22 then? Genie?
No, that was,
No,
that was a
it
mistake
was-
on my part.
Oh, okay. It was
Just-
24. Okay,
just
got it.
24.
Yeah,
The-
but
the
that got thrown
highest-
out.
I'm actually sorry. Robbie is the second highest, and then I'm third highest at 67. Because I do think he's a value kind of like later mid rounds.
Yeah. I'm there.
I think they
I'm with you
shoehorn
there.
him in. I think it doesn't matter. They're going to figure out a way to make him play this year. He's not going to be as rotation heavy as he was last year. I think he's going to be great.
I agree.
He'll be high after winning Wimbledon.
That's
Right.
true, but he'll be knackered as well. It's been
Exactly.
a
True.
Yeah,
ATP
that's fair.
Poor guy.
No.
tour never ends, bro.
All right, let's talk Madueke, guys. Ugh,
Christ
as much as
almighty.
I don't want to. And Ryan, I'm sure you're already sick of hearing his name.
Yeah.
So, okay, we have him. The lowest rank is 121, and that's you, Sanjy. And then our highest rank is 62. That is Genie. I wonder if he baked in.
That's not
the-
pricing in the no
Right.
way.
Right. And I did price in the Arsenal move. I have him at 104. Ryan, you have him at 103. Toddy, you have him at 91. And then Sanji's 121. It seems like we're all kind of on the same page. I mean, there's maybe 30 picks between some of those, but still.
It is the budget version of what we said about Foden in round 2, 3. Like in round 8 or 9, you're looking at a player who has the ability to get a hat trick, who has the ability when he starts to.
Only if
get
they
you-
sign literally no one else. If they sign Eze, he's done. If they sign Rodrigo, obviously he's done.
Yeah,
Um,
obviously.
If they
But
sign
if they
anyone
sign
else,
Eze,
he's clearly back up to Saka, nothing more.
Yeah.
exactly. That's fair. You're not ranking him if
Please,
they
God.
sign anyone else.
Yeah.
But if they don't, 1, I won't be roaming the earth anymore. And 2, he'll be pretty inflated after that. He'll
On
actually
a-
have some value.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how miffed will you be if this "here we go" is followed up by Chelsea getting Ranieri?
Oh, God.
There's no possible way. I'm not even gonna entertain that hypothetical. Not a chance.
I was listening to a Liverpool pod today, and they said that there's rumors of Nwaneri to Chelsea, and they were like, if that happens, everyone at the club should be fired immediately.
Yeah, there would be such a mass suicide / January 6th riot at the Emirates. Like, there's no way.
I never thought that there would be a shorter director of football tenure than Ashworth
Berto
was
would
at Man
be,
United, but
extradited.
Berto would be, yeah.
Yeah, I can't see that.
No, that would never happen.
But again, if they want to go for Eze or Rodrigo and Gyokeres or Sesko, we have seen stuff like that. We've seen Chelsea letting much more, not much more, but similarly exciting youngster in Tottiandor go, letting all these homegrown players go because of PSR. It would make, like, they would need to spend about the same as Arsenal spending on Madueke, like 50 something on Ranieri, and there would be pure profit for PSR purposes. I'm not saying they will do it, and I agree with all of the above that they would need to, like, literally fire everyone who was involved in that deal. But like, if you're looking at purely the finances, and if they want to still get 2 more like high-profile signings in, and that is what they need. There's no other player that they can get like a cool 50-60 million for in pure profits, is there?
So I just read that the fee is actually 40 fixed plus 13 potential add-ons, which I'm hoping are like related to starts and other things that he won't hit because he'll be a backup. So 40 is a lot more reasonable than like what they were saying is like 50 fixed that was rejected. So it would be more than that. So it's, if it turns out that it was 40 plus add-ons, then it's a little bit more palatable. But yeah, this just better not be the left wing upgrade, quote unquote.
It still feels too much.
All right, so
Stat heads really like him. He's 23. Like I get the
Yeah.
attraction, but yeah, it was the fee, and if it precludes spending money in areas that we absolutely need, then I'll be upset. But if it's 40 plus add-ons and we sign other players, then like
Plus, you guys still
can
need
wait.
the CB, right?
Mosquera seems to be like pretty well done.
Oh yeah,
Which I like.
forgot about him.
Yeah, he's good. He's a one for the future and a nice backup.
All right,
the thing
so-
is, Noni predominantly played right wing for us, right?
Yeah.
My ranking is based on I don't think he sees the light of day at Arsenal. Like,
right.
where is he getting minutes if he's playing right wing? Like, he can play left wing, but nah, he cannot be the day in or week in week out solution for that left wing for Arsenal. I've watched him
Plus-
and he can be infuriating in terms of finishing.
Plus, if they essentially forego trying to get a proper left wing upgrade, then they're just telling other teams that they can pretty safely double team Saka.
That's what
Because
they've been doing for the past 2 years, which
exactly. That's why you and every Arsenal fan in anywhere wants an upgrade, not just a squad player at left wing, because like it's even if Gyokeres plays instead of Martinelli or Trossard, they're still not gonna take focus away from the right wing, which is what you want to get the best out of Saka.
one of the things I liked when kind of studying Gyokeres is that he drifts to the left and brings opposition defenders with him, which I think speaks to the point that you just raised, Toddy, in terms of opposition defense is just camping out on the right wing and all of our attack going that way. So I think he helps out with that. And then, upgrading on the left, like really opens up the space for Saka and everybody else. So
if we see like absolute best case scenario, something like Salah on the right wing, Wirtz on the left wing, and someone like Ekitike or someone like that in the center forward role at Liverpool, you want something similar. You want a Rodrigo, a Gyokeres or a Sesko, and a Saka up top, and then everyone needs double teaming.
It looks like Trossard is going to Fenerbahce, which makes a lot of sense and would lead me to think
he's
that,
so Fenerbahce. He's so Turkish Super League.
He's got Fenerbahce written all over him.
I'll miss him, man. He's clinical. He's scored a lot of really clutch goals for us. He was such a value signing.
100%.
It's
absolutely.
Unfortunately, he didn't get a.
Well, what's unfortunate is that you continue to ruin fantasy assets by doing that, which sucks. But
I never rostered him. It's a shame.
Because at the time I was like, oh, he's just done. That sucks. He's just gone. Because he went from being like, like a mid,
the main man at Brighton,
like a mid one.
Yeah. No, I remember that hat trick at Anfield. My God.
Yeah.
Remember when he was brought in and he was in a timeshare with Pascal Gross?
Everyone
was.
Those were the days.
Pascal.
I miss Pascal.
How dare you? Ugh.
He's still with us.
Yeah.
I was very upset that no one ranked Solly March.
You were?
And not so much that I ranked him, but like,
Not enough for me to do it myself, but
right.
but I would have felt for the one person who did rank him.
you
there
both
was
supported them.
Yeah,
Right.
Tony,
I was like,
To
you go, man.
I want any possible reason to do so. I just could not come up with one.
Yeah.
Same. I was looking at him. I was like,
I love
can
Solomon.
I put you in 120, 125? But
Nope.
nah.
I tell
Tony,
you what.
does it make you feel better if I drafted Grealish or put him in my consensus ranks?
Oh no.
I have Grealish in.
Yeah, buddy, let's go.
How come I was thinking about this after I submitted it, but like no Raw Sparkly, like
No.
Onana, I don't think got ranked. Like
No.
that's the problem. Like 150 is just like it leaves out a lot of potential
Yeah, we need 250.
serviceable players.
No.
We need to.
No.
Ryan is saying.
Resignation submitted.
We need to do 250 for the ranks
Immediately.
next time around.
Yes. 25 round draft. Yeah.
There are some players who just missed just missed the cut that you could make an argument for, right? Like Urian Timber, I feel like should probably be in our 150 personally. Miles Lewis Skelly potentially.
Did you guys do put goalkeepers in? I didn't.
No.
I did two.
don't.
I had two in there.
I have Kelleher and Trafford, I think.
I still stick to not drafting a goalkeeper every season and figuring that out after game week 1 or before game week 1 starts.
That's too much of a headache for me.
After last year
opposite.
when I had a set and forget guy, I was like, I think I'm never going back. And,
dude, you can't. It's the best. It's
I
the
don't
absolute
care.
best.
Like spending a 13, 14, 15th round pick, I don't really care at all. Like at that point,
Totally.
it's mostly
Yeah.
Yeah,
After
but
12,
we
you're
really
looking
know
at
who
game
that-
week 1.
Yeah, it's
Do we
not
really
worth.
know who that set and forget person is, though? Now that
to the
Lord
Toddy
and Savior
mentioned,
has
I'm
gone. Yeah.
worth punting on.
Yeah, I mean, this year, if I can 13th round, 14th round, if they're still there, I'm gonna go Trafford. I'm gonna go Kelleher, and then potentially I would settle on a guy like Allison if he's still around.
Pickford's not bad.
Yeah.
at that
Pickford,
point.
of course, Pickford.
You can get Pickford or Allison in 15th, 16th, I think.
Dude, Allison always goes early. I think the
He's
name
overhyped.
recognition is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Marshvilli's gonna be. He's good, man.
He's very good. I like him as well. He's gonna be breathing down his neck, and also we have to factor in like 10 games out injured for Allison as well.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, price it
Yeah.
at this point.
And then, I mean, hate to say it, but Thomas Frank's in town now, so of course Vicario is always an option.
There is a chance that Kinski takes that role, though.
Yep.
This is actually a fantastic segue because we are going to have to hurry through defenders. But here we go. Pedro Porro is our first one that I wanted to talk about with you guys because Pedro Porro, we have one gentleman who is very handsome, I must say, has him ranked at 21. And then we have another
Chris,
gentleman.
is that me?
No, it's me.
No.
Such a wind
was
up.
it the handsome part that got in the way?
Yeah, I didn't think I had him at 21, but I thought I could have to be surely
Quite
the
an
person you're
inflated
referring
view
to.
of yourself there, Ryan. Amazing.
Coming from the person that called himself handsome.
You are handsome. I'll give it to you.
Not at this point, man. I need to sleep.
I have him at 21. Genie has him at 28. Robbie 31. Draft Lad 34. Oh, Tom 25. And then kind of the rest of us are a little bit varied. And then Toddy and Ryan, you two are together 44 and 40. I don't think there's any way they concede so many goals. I think there's going to be more clean sheets in the mix. And we've seen fullbacks under Frank. I think there's nowhere to go but up for him. 21 might be a little high for me, but still, I think it's going to be in the 20s.
The fullback Frank thing, like they haven't been that great. Like
Nope.
Yeah,
Prior to Coyote,
I-
like who are you referring to? KLP?
I
Like,
am. Yeah. That Aaron Hickey dude. That he's been a fantasy darling, hasn't he?
Matt
Right.
Roloff.
Oh, so what you're telling me is
Matt
that Coyote's,
Roslev, yeah.
so Coyote's been the only real talented fullback they've had. Oh, and let me look at his fantasy numbers.
for
They're
those
amazing.
splendid weeks of his 6-year tenure.
What's the PPS there, buddy?
All right, so let me finish because I like Joint Boy, you know that. So
Yeah.
that's a knock. The second is that he actually does have some rotation somewhat worries. Like he's not going
He
to be
did.
Yeah.
nailed on as much as he was because he was an Ange guy because he's suicidal on the wingback front. But he's got Spence and Udogie breathing down his neck. It's TBD if he's going to be on set pieces like he was under Ange, especially with freaking MGW, Madison, Kulu, everybody
Kudus.
else contending for them. So that's not baked in. When did you remember Brentford keeping a clean sheet? I don't know. Despite Ange leaving, I don't know if there's going to be more clean sheets. God bless Flecken. I remember like all two of them. But yeah, there's a lot going against him. Having said that, he's a ghost point machine. They will be better. Like, so I get it. I just don't get it as high as like 21.
But wouldn't you rather spend a 13th round pick or 15th round pick on Jed Spence on the off chance that Udogie then spend a second rounder on Porro?
Well, you're not going to have to spend a second rounder on him. Like I think that. I mean, we're seeing.
Where is he on consensus?
Probably
Probably in like the low 30s, maybe.
Is 32.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a little bit. Yeah.
And
I was
seeing
lowest on him, I think.
we're seeing defenders pretty deflated this year, which I find really interesting. Like in the previous mocks that we've done, we've really only seen like one defender go within the first 3 rounds. And really Porro and Jedi are not really being taken until a lot of times like the 4th or even 5th round.
Yeah, I think people are just like pre-genetically disposed to not taking defenders that early, bar like Trent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I just didn't. I can't take like any like. Oh, let me put it this way: I can only take Munoz and Tarkowski, I think, before him, and maybe Jedi. Yeah, I don't know. I just, again, it's new setup. There's so much unknown going into Spurs this season. Like, I get his potential, but yeah, I don't know. It just felt too high for me. Taking him around the 30 mark.
Yeah. Well,
I
right.
have no idea why anyone would take Porro ahead of Tarkowski.
Exactly. Tarkowski's Bay. Like,
What's up with the injury?
He should be okay, right? It's just minor hamstring.
Yeah, should be okay.
So Toddy, while I'm taking Porro apparently in the 2nd round, maybe need to move that down just a little bit. You are taking Tarkowski in the 2nd round at pick number at pick number 22 overall. And
Jesus.
and that's
I'd much rather.
Hold on, and that's unless you're in a league with Robbie because he will already be gone at pick 18.
Amazing.
Exactly.
I cannot
Tarkowski
wait.
was the 30th highest scorer, having only started 33 games and having been shit the first 10. And he is David Moyes now.
That's attrition.
He is
man.
a
He didn't
god.
have his
He is a
war.
god.
But there's zero chance if you're in a league. Like, I need to move Porro down. There's zero chance you're taking him at 22.
I don't have to take him at 22, but if I'm at the end of if I'm pick 11, pick 12, then I'm 100% taking him on the turn.
You would. Okay. That's good to know. Interesting.
I'm taking him at the end of the 3rd. If he's there, I'm taking him.
Oh,
I'm not taking him at 13, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. if you're on the 2-3 turn. No, the 3-4 turn.
The 3-4 turn. Yeah.
Okay. That
makes sense. Yeah, round 4 I like. But
I'm probably not taking him end of second round, but I'm definitely looking at him the middle of the third round. I think he's valued there.
Yeah, for sure. In the mock draft you organized the other day, Toddy, he went 5'10", which is insane value.
It's a mock, but yeah.
Sure, but he went after Van Dijk. He went after Frimpong. He went after Wan-Bissaka.
And it depends on your league, but you do have a chance for him to fall to you in the fourth.
The thing is, like, because of the scoring adjustment from last season as well, I'd be curious if like Draftline can run this analysis in terms of like the percentage of defenders we have in our top 150 and like where the majority of them are. I just feel like, again, given that scoring adjustment, you'd want to just prioritize all your high picks with forwards and midfielders, and just maybe you can trust that you can again stream these defenders game week to game week.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, do you even care if you're your top 5 players, other than forwards being a position that you can only start 3 in? Do you even care if your high value assets are defenders or midfielders? You just plug them in and play them.
Right.
If you're not going to stream your defender 1, or probably not. You might want to,
no.
But
you shouldn't have to.
If it doesn't matter would you prioritize getting in a mid 2 instead of a defender 1? I don't see why you would do that.
Unless I can get either Munoz, Tarkowski, or again maybe Jedi, maybe Verge, then yeah, I think I might, honestly, in at least 1 or 2 leagues. Like,
yeah, but that's your personal rank. That means that your Poros and your Frimpongs and your Guardiols and your Collinses, you feel are much closer to replacement value than what everyone else feels about them, and that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, fair.
But it's still the point. My point is that in that third round, end of second round, third round, fourth round area, you're looking at mid 2s, forward 2s, defender 1s. It doesn't matter if it's a mid 2 if he's value, or does it matter if he's a defender 1? Like if you have Damsgaard and Tarkowski staring at you, does it matter? Does it matter which one you're? So why would positional difference come into play there? You pick the one you like better.
When you bring up Toddy's hypothetical team here, now that he has drafted Isak, then Damsgaard, and then Tarkowski, it actually doesn't look too bad.
Any guess as to Ghost Point Machine Damsgaard's GPPS last season?
Oh no.
I'm gonna say 8.
Dun, dun.
You wouldn't bring it up otherwise.
I'm gonna say 8.
Toddy?
I'll say 9.
7.8.
Woo!
Oh,
It's not incredible. It's not incredible.
it's not.
I can't wait for Vision 2 of these ranks, Toddy.
Yeah.
Noni Madueke is 7.6, so you're in good company.
Yeah. Oh, God. I rostered Madueke. I can tell you how terrible that was. There'll be some movement certainly in the ranks. I mean, definitely. But that's why we have these conversations. I actually really love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move through the rest of these so we can let people get on with their days, because my lord. All right. Frimpong, guys, is an interesting one. Frimpong. We have him at 56 overall, which is quite interesting considering that Genie has him at 39, which I found eye-opening. Ryan, you've got him at 45. Sanjy, you got him at 48. You guys are the next highest on him. I've got him at 78. Toddy, you've got him at 53, and then Tom and Dutch kind of higher as well, 63, 66.
I have not seen a mock where people couldn't cuff him with Bradley.
Oh wow.
So Bradley was so low. I've seen 3 or 4 mocks, and every time the Frimpong drafter was able to get Bradley in like round 12, 13, 14, whatever. Which I suspect won't be the case because people will be more looking at what other people are drafting, and they will want to ruin these cuffs that are happening easily in mocks.
Shithousery. Yeah.
Exactly, but yeah, I think a Frimpong Bradley cuff is up there with, if you're able to work with 4 bench spots essentially. That's up there with the Defender 1.
Except that Bradley wasn't that good.
Yeah,
when he
I'm of 2
started.
minds about this because the
He's good in real life.
right back spot
Yeah.
under slot, the small data points that we have hasn't been great, but the upside is Frimpong is a monster bombing forward, and
Right.
surely slot has some sort of plan in mind to allow him to do so, probably with Kirkish maybe hanging back. So the upside's there. They have a good defense. Obviously he's going to be with a lot of great players around him, so the upside's there.
If I see this Sunday is the first friendly against Preston, if I see 3 players who can play centre back in the starting lineup,
Yeah.
I am bumping Frimpong up by 20 spots.
So you'll join us basically,
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. If there is a chance that Slot goes 3 at the back and Frimpong is a right wing back, then he's a 3rd round pick.
Oh wow.
And there is my the 4th pick.
Yeah, you go Frimmy and
Isak,
Turks back to back.
Isak Damsgaard, Tarkowski, Frimpong.
Drafting for the last.
This is a weird. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing that your draft doesn't define your season, Totty. So
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear that lightning, but
was that thunder?
yeah, that was thunder.
Jesus.
Draft Espresso just said there was a 1-minute gap in the audio, so hopefully that doesn't mean that my power's going or my internet. But
I mean, we're still chilling. We're having a
yeah,
good time.
that's true. I wonder if it will let you guys stay on if I get kicked off. I don't actually know.
I'm logged in as draft site as well, so hopefully
Alright, fair
that
enough.
means that.
All right. Well, does somebody want?
Or maybe we can finish up after 2 hours.
I was gonna say,
Maybe that's a sign from God.
let's probably just roll through these. Does somebody want to make the case for why we might be skeptical about Gvardiol? I feel like the talking points have been around, but
Yes.
go ahead.
He'll play center back most of the time,
Yep.
and his upside is mostly at left back, which will be probably occupied for the most part by Ait Nori. And so I think it's name recognition and the fact that he did well last season, largely in the left back spot, that'll have him too inflated. So I mean, he'll be decent and they'll get some decent clean sheets, but he's not going to be that high in terms of value.
Yeah, and we thought maybe they would figure out their leaky defense, but Al Hilal, just sort of decided to take him for 4. One of the best teams in the world in the Club World Cup there. So I don't know that they're going to keep a ton more clean sheets than they did last year. Probably a couple more, but
I feel like Vardiol will be nailed in that team, and he's just gonna have these very up and down performances because he could easily be deployed at left back for, let's call it, tougher games, quote unquote.
yeah, when they don't.
Yeah, and also it will most likely change mid game too.
Yeah.
Like we'll have him start at center back, and people will be iffy about starting him, and then he'll move over to left back after like 40 minutes or 35 minutes, and then he'll start getting ghosts in and whatever. So it's gonna be strange.
Yeah.
All right. Sanjy, I think we only really need to hear from you on Collins because most of us have him in the 50s or 60s. You have him at 108.
No Flecken? I don't know. What do I have him at?
What? Who cares about Flecken?
Who's the closest person to me? Genie, 86.
Genie at 86. Yeah, this might be one that you have to bump up a little bit.
Yeah, possibly.
He meant a different Collins.
Was it Phil? It must
Tom.
have been Phil.
Yeah.
Or Tom.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's one of those where I think maybe if I was to push him any higher, it would probably be around Genie's spot as well. I just again want to see what happens to Brentford overall, like especially from a defensive perspective. They weren't solid last season, and I don't know if that's going to improve this season. Yes, he can have the ability to go. So I'm curious where I put Sepp van den Berg in my ranks as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I don't know if at some point Collins I feel like last season Collins had these games where he wasn't as impressive as he was at the start. Like he had these random like low scoring games and stuff like that. And I don't know if like Sepp has the ability to potentially ease into his ghost points as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
128 for Sepp for you.
Yeah, okay. So
128.
I'm just down on Brentford defense altogether. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's one that I need to adjust. But again, I feel like it's one of those defenders that I'm comfortable streaming if I don't have a Collins, and I feel like I can just fill that spot randomly. I think the Brentford defender I was highest on the most was Coyote, and I think others were probably lower on him than I was. Maybe it's a personal choice at the end of the day. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just laughing because Draft Espresso said Phil Collins surely goes third round. Absolutely, and so does
Solo
Tom.
or with Genesis.
Well, that's a great point. Genesis creates a solid backline there. I feel like.
I wish you had the audio of the American Psycho monologue there.
Oh damn, that'd be amazing. Yeah,
they have just removed one of our. We just got an email yesterday about Spotify removing a random like Gaming 22
episode. Really?
For episode because of copyright issues. So
I didn't see that.
Yeah, we got that.
We got research to dig that up.
Was it proud to be an American?
I think you get an email when they flag certain episodes because it's happened to us for BB as well. I don't know, some random music reference or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't checked out what the music reference was because obviously you still have them on YouTube. So maybe I'll check it out. But might have been proud to be an American, which means if they got onto it, then they will flag all of those.
Right.
Pods that YouTube did. Yeah.
All the ones where it's just me and Ryan.
Greenwood's goons. Jeez.
Lee Greenwood's.
Doesn't make me proud.
His people are coming after us.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Oh man. All right.
It's a witch hunt.
And we'll end it with some Nico Williams talk, which will basically just be me against the rest of you, which is interesting. I've got him at 73. Robbie's got him at 78. Draft led 88. Tom 84. Dutch 93. And then the rest of you, right around 111, 116, 109.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, you guys are in lockstep on that one. Yeah, I mean, I felt like his numbers were pretty solid. I felt like even though he was injured for a good chunk of the season and is still arguably injured, I think he'll come back and doesn't really need clean sheets to, have decent fantasy scores. We've seen him contribute to attacking returns. I didn't think that like 73 was that out of line, to be honest. I was kind of surprised to see you also low on him.
I think it's just the Forest defense regressing, coupled with Europe, coupled with potential new signings as well. Didn't they sign a bunch of players from Brazil? One of them's a wing back, isn't he? I think so.
Ooh, I'm not
They
sure.
I think they signed 3 players from Botafogo, and one of them's a young right back or left back. I'm not sure.
And you think he takes the spot? Nico just signed an extension, didn't he?
I'm not saying he takes his spot. It's just that with Europe and with the generally expected regression of Forest defense, I think for most part of the year, before he sort of nailed that spot down, maybe in March, he was a streamer.
Yeah.
And like maybe around 80, 90 spot is a streamer spot, but I just don't think he deserves even the amount of time we spent on him already.
No, that's fair. Anybody else?
More time.
Beautiful.
No, let's move on.
All right, let's wrap it up. Okay, so we will save some of our other more contentious picks for the next episode when we discuss probably a few more rankings and then also some goings on in the transfer world and other things. So we'll save those for next time. But yeah, for now, thank you for everyone, especially if you've made it this far. My God, you're the best. Community, you guys are amazing. Thanks for all the support. Draft Kit is out now. Check it out. We would be humbled if you would be willing to support an independent fantasy football site like us. And for everyone else here, just thank you so much. And we're excited to get this draft season off to a great start and do some more mock drafts. Join Discord. We'll say it again. Join Discord. Cheers, everybody. Love y'all.